The third book is called Crystal Chard by R.A. Salvatore. And this is a book that was written on the premise of the Forgotten Realms series. It's kind of like the whole Dragonlance thing. Basically what they do is they hire a novelist to work within their world or their universe that's already created, and R.A. Salvatore was known for accomplishing this task, and he succeeded, and his career kind of took off, which is why I decided to kind of check him out. Usually I kind of avoid these kind of books, mostly because they'll hire an author and you won't be very good, and you'll get a new author working with the same characters and it might be great, so it's very inconsistent. The first book of the series that features the main character, Drizzt, is Homeland, and so if you're going to read the series, this would be the first book you'd start with. What did I think of Crystal Chard? It was alright. I would probably rate it maybe a 6.5 out of 10. Like, worth reading, but nothing to really write home about. My main problem with Salvatore's work is that he, in trying to fulfill the kind of world that has already been built around Forgotten Realms, he wants to show that 3 different characters, a dwarf, a dark elf, and a human, are working in cooperation to improve their different lives. And this is kind of great, but it kind of leaves it, oh, let's get our buddies together and go save the world kind of thing. And I really hate that. Like, I really enjoy it more when there's a premise and why they're personally motivated. I think Homeland describes the personal motivation of Drizzt pretty well, but later on there's a little bit of consistency with like who he chooses to fight battles with and why he fights the battles he's fight. And as far as the dwarf and the human, I think that their reasons for fighting are also kind of, you know, a little bit sketchy. Other than that, the writing's pretty well. It's not bad. As far as stories go, and I think what I really do like about the Crystal Chard, even more so than some of his earlier books, Salvatore's earlier books, is the way he kind of short stories the different sections. Like he'll separate it into kind of a geographical region with one character, and then there won't be a big transition to the next switch in the story. It flows nicely, but yet what you get is a kind of several different events that lead up to the end, and I think that's kind of way like what he does with his event management to kind of build up to the end is kind of more interesting, because more in most books the way that they build it in the end is kind of a linear progression. It never segments. But in R.A. Salvatore's books, especially in Crystal Chard, he basically segments different events that happen to basically, you know, reach the final conclusion of the book. And I like that. The fourth book I'll be reviewing is Laurell K. Hamilton's The Laughing Corpse. And it is the second book in her Anita Blake vampire hunter books. The first one is Guilty Pleasures. I would say don't let the covers fool you. They all kind of portray some kind of like, you know, sexy body on the front of the covers, and really I think that vampire book readers are just kind of obsessed with the image of sex, but really they just like plot in the story. I like the Anita Blake Vampire Hunter story so far. It's not like the best writing. I think the way that she deals with short sentences as far as statements of feeling, and she's trying to portray a kind of a blunt character that would say, you know, oh, I don't give a, you know, crap, or, you know, oh, I can't think of examples, but really they're just kind of simple adventure stories. I was explaining to my girlfriend that really, if you think of it, it's kind of like if you took detectives, the character kind of framework about maturity and how they deal with like jokes and things like that, and you set it all in the plot of like Buffy Vampire Slayer, where, you know, they were dealing with zombies and vampires, but yet the way that the format of the book kind of runs like MacGyver, where the detectives in CSI hunting vampires have to overcome obstacles to get to the final goal, and so that's kind of the way that the book goes, is a combination of those kind of things. The humor's pretty good, just to kind of get a quick laugh. It's not really, it's not subtle humor or, you know, deep humor, but the characters are pretty good, and I actually really like the way that she portrays vampires. Just because, like, she doesn't really go in a lot in depth on them, but, you know, they're kind of sketchy, mysterious, in the dark, and even in the second book, she's not really described a lot about vampires. Basically, it's all kind of, you know, what is the vampire myth that you all kind of identify with, and the way that she introduces her own ideas about vampires is kind of a slow-paced kind of thing, which makes the story arc, which I really have liked so far, is that the first book and the second both have, you know, a vampire character, but the way that she's releasing information in tidbits, there's kind of an arcing story between Anita Blake and, you know, the vampire Jean-Claude. So I've enjoyed that so far. The Laughing Corpse actually is not really vampire oriented. It's actually more about the conflict she has with kind of a beast that is rampaging through the city and causing murders. And so it turns out the vampires are not part of this. So I guess that's a little bit of spoiler. So it's not the vampire's fault. And so the vampires don't really have a direct role. It's more of a cameo. And so really that's all I have for you so far. Thanks for watching the video again, and I hope to do other kinds of reviews in the future. And have a good one. Bye-bye. Whew, that baby is warm.